Hi everybody, it's Marianne Bailey with the Hip Senior, and today is another day in the studio hosting a podcast with Dr. Barbara Collins. Dr. Barbara, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, good morning, Marianne. I'm so honored and so excited to know you and to be here.
I am excited to know and to have you here. Let me tell everybody a little bit about you, and then I want to get to your new story to the new program that you're starting, and I'm just so excited that you're here to tell everybody about that.
Thank you.
So everybody, Dr. Barbara is, she believes in women and that they deserve to feel empowered to create authentic choices in their second half of life. She's the president and the CEO of Positive Trends Incorporated, a professional speaker, professor, blogger, and author. She is a member of the National Speakers Association and Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. She brings over 25 years of experience in education, training, and organizational development to her signature presentation and book entitled It's Your Turn, Find Your Authentic Self and Fetch It. Her new book, Power in Midlife and Beyond, 14 Ways to Create an Authentic Life, is available at barnesandnoble.com and drbarbaracollins.com. Her presentations help women discover natural strengths to manage the longevity gap. Women today are living beyond midlife, trying to figure out what's next. She has written numerous articles in her newsletter, magazine publications, and her blog. Her online course, Life After 50, Dr. Collins, which will be offered late June of 2021. So that's coming up really, really fast here. Oh, wait, it's past.
Yeah, July, the end of July.
I'm losing track of time. Okay. She's also the manager in training and development for Independence Blue Cross, or was the, you know what? We're live. I can't start over. She was the Independence Blue, worked for the training and development for Independence Blue Cross for 11 years, following an invitation to assist Core States Financial, now Wells Fargo, working in total quality and diversity initiatives for 5 years. Currently, she is an adjunct professor at Rosemont College in the Masters of Science in Leadership program. Dr. Collins, again, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Marianne. Appreciate that.
Lots of stuff going on there, and I absolutely love it. For those of you that I have not told yet, because I have talked about you since I have met you, that is it Dr. Barbara or Dr. Collins?
No,
which do you prefer?
Just Dr. Barbara.
Okay, Dr. Barbara. I heard her on another podcast and instantly knew that I had to know her and we hit it off right away. So I'm so excited that this day has finally come that you're on my podcast. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Excited. You can hear my passion about what I'm doing. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
So we're just going to go with the flow. You want me to talk about my new course?
I do. Life After 50, right?
Life After 50, How to Plan Your Second Half of Life.
Awesome.
I am passionate about planning your second half of life.
Okay.
So my mother, as Marianne knows, was my catalyst for planning. Believe it or not, I really started thinking about my second half of life when I was married, raising 2 kids. So everybody says, what? I said, well, I was in a difficult divorce and trying to recover my identity. And my mother said, you know what? Come visit my senior living facilities. I must have been in my mid-40s or something, stressed, working. She said, no, come. She said, look around this room. And in the late, I would say mid-70s, senior facilities were not as immense a lot as we see now. But she was a director. She said, look around the room and look at their faces. She said, one thing remember, please plan your second half of life now, so you will have a reason to get up in the morning. Wow. Of course, at that time, it did not connect right away, but I think the divorce really put me into really redefining who I am. So to make
doesn't it usually, right?
It really is.
That's what put me is like, as soon as I got divorced, I was like, dead
Right.
on as to what I was going to be doing.
Right. I was too, right? And I went to my daughter's graduation from performing arts. At that time, she was about 12. And a woman came on, Marianne, reciting a poem. And I'm sitting there watching her. The poem was called Who Am I? And I'm sitting there, tears are coming down my eyes. My cousin, everybody said, "What are you doing?" Monique just finished doing her thing. I said, "No, it's okay." What was happening, the tears was a huge aha that I need to really work on who am I so I can plan later on. So that was the impetus. So fast forward way later, I'm in my second half of life now. First of all, I want to mention that I'm way into my second half of life. Okay.
Well, if that's the
Uh,
case, you look wonderful.
Thank you. Um, so I've always, once a teacher, always a teacher. But what I wanted to do was to really create a way for women to really learn how to discover who you really are, you know, and that's important. I'm not negating therapy or doing things for yourself, but when you discover who you really are, here's my belief. When you get into your second half of life, there is more to you than you think you are, okay? And you have the time to really blossom and do those things you always wanted to do.
Right.
So why not ahead of time, or maybe you're in your second half of life, I don't know. Why don't you sit down and think about what comes easy to you? You know, when I do a workshop, I said, think about when somebody says to you, well, how did you do that, Marianne? You made that look so easy. Well, ladies, that's a big clue that that's your natural strength.
How about all the times that people say, you know what, I should start a business doing that because they
Yes.
realize they love it or it comes easy or they,
Right.
they can kick out, 50 dozen cookies in 20 minutes,
Right, Marianne.
I should do a
Right.
business doing this. Well, but
Right.
maybe you should.
Well, maybe you should. And the age thing is just a number.
Right.
And I think I told you, Miriam, about small business. I think I told a lady it was coaching about 5 years ago.
Mhm.
Remember we talked about that?
Yeah.
Not a baker,
Yeah.
but she is doing so well. So 5 years ago, she said, I got it. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to make the best peanut brittle. And she was in her second half of life, lady. She was close to retirement. And here was her clue. When she bakes this beautiful, delicious peanut brittle, hours go by. Hours go by. And she knows what that's what she wants to do when she has the time. Guess what? I went to Jersey and somebody that knows her said to me, "Oh, that's Rita. Oh my God, she is making good money." I said, "Really? She's on the website making peanut brittle." See, for me, when you plan to do this, whatever it is, small business, you never know who needs what you want to do. Somebody's going to want what you do easy. You never know.
I think the internet has proved that.
I think so, Mary, and you know the internet well with your tech business.
Yeah.
And I watch you, how it comes just, ladies, when Marian does her internet and her tech things is like, it just floors me. But that's your natural gift, Marian. So with small business, it can happen. It really can happen.
And I think, you know what, as bad as COVID has been, I think that has opened so many doors for the internet, for people to be able to follow their passion and do it all over the world.
Right, right. And but nowadays, I tell younger women, you have the world at your fingertips to start your own business,
Yeah.
with coaching and so motivating you. I know women today who stopped what they were doing in their 9 to 5 and figured it out with all these opportunities to start a business helps them a lot. It really does. And they don't have to really make it difficult. All they need is, not to be cliche, I think we all have a dream,
Yeah.
do something.
My
And
mom used, you know what? My mom used to say that. She just goes, in 5 years from now, it's still going to be 5 years from now. You should do what you want to do within that 5 years,
I like
whether it's
that.
education, whether it's starting a business, what, you know, her, if she started out with it should be, you know, in 5 years, you're still going to be 5 years older. So at least get educated. But, you know,
Right.
that applies to everything, right?
Everything. And education, Mary, I'm glad you said that because my mother told me always that education is power.
Right.
Okay. So the more you learn about your craft, the better.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be a college education.
No, it doesn't. No, no. It's learning learning about what you do well. It does not have to be a college degree. No, it does not. No.
Right.
Because if you make the best peanut brittle, I know women that makes the best cakes, and it's not always about cooking. I know women who do technical things, fix cars. I mean, the point is this: if you're sitting there dreaming about there's something I need to do, it is common and it is natural. Can I segue to a little human growth and development process?
Absolutely.
What happens in our brain? Kathleen Mahoney in her book says Awakening at Midnight at Midlife. She says the adolescent brain is still there. And around the ages of 40, 50, something gets on your shoulder, nudges you to say, there's something more to you. Let's do it. This nudge kind of feels like a midlife crisis.
That's what I was going to ask. You hear that with mostly with men, but it does apply to women, right?
Right, it does. But guess what, Marianne? We are the only country that calls it a crisis.
Really?
Yes, in the other cultures in the West, you know what they call it? I think from the Native Americans to say here, they call it the golden path. It's always a positive term.
Maybe we should name it like midlife opportunity
See,
something,
right?
right?
I never say midlife crisis
Yeah, I don't either.
because yes, because Kathleen Mahoney says in her book, it's an opportunity to self-discover your authentic self, to move
There's that word.
forward,
Yeah,
to move forward in discovering what you came in this world to do. Because I believe, spiritually for me, that we didn't come in here with a blank slate.
correct.
If you want to go technical or based on some educational ancestry kind of thing, way back in your ancestry, there are genes that were passed on to you that demonstrate that you have other gifts. However, you discover it. What my course does, we spend about 3 modules on discovering our gifts. You know what it does, Marianne? My course really gives women a time to pause and take a look about what they can offer to the world. And it varies, whether it's a business or giving back to nonprofit or creating an opportunity for other people to grow. That is your midlife opportunity to spend time on yourself. And planning, that word plan may sound like work, but I don't call it work. I call it a time to invest in your own personal growth. Because
That's
the
fair.
year's going to go by very fast. And we talked about some research today says, you know what, ladies, if you are healthy, blessed to be healthy in midlife, you can predict that you're going to be healthier as you get older. If you're taking, so the research says you may live to be 100. And I said, oh my God. I said, well, what are you going to do with all those years?
Right?
What are you going to do? If you're the type of woman, and this is no judgment, I know women that what works for them is just to look at TV, go out to dinner and lunch. But ladies, there's but so many lunches and dinners you can go to in terms of engagement, which is good.
Right.
But your brain also is saying, I need you to think. I need you to engage. I need you to learn something new. Okay. So my course really helps women to discover who they are. And then we go into really looking at our core values. We all have core values. What we look at what is really important to you that you want to spend time on in your second half of life. That's part of the dreams of growing a business or education. But core values are the cornerstone for how you want to live your life. Whether it's family is important to you first, whether health is important to you. There's so many, I give a workshop sheet that helps women to check off their values. So you have a guideline.
Now, wait a minute, back up. How long is this course?
Okay, the course is
Yeah.
really 6 weeks, but I give 6 hours of added bonus for coaching. So
Okay.
altogether in my course now, it's about 14 weeks right now.
Okay. I just want people to know, like, how long of a commitment to expect when,
Oh,
when
yes,
you're
that's
talking
good.
about with different parts of it. Like, is
Yes.
that, into 6 months down the road, or is that 6 weeks down the
No, you're
road?
right, Miriam. That's a good question because
Yeah.
I created the course with modules and activities for women to take their time and really think about what they want to do. And it's recorded, the modules are recorded, but I also have a format where I coach you 1 hour per week with the other women. So you're with a group of women in the course where you can talk about what you have learned about yourself. And Miriam, we've talked about intrinsic motivation or motivation inside of you comes from being very clear about why do you want to do this. Your why is going to have to be critical for you to spend time on yourself. And I've found women that have taken my course benefits from that 1 hour. Not that you have to have it, but this format that I'm doing now, there's a 1 hour with me per week. So you do some work. I mean, have homework that I give. I have
Let's
worksheets
go back to
that I
school. Going back to school, working on yourself.
give. But it's all about working on ourselves.
Yeah.
And the other thing I want to show some feedback that I received said a lot of women tend to be very fearful of self-discovery. And that
Explain
can
that.
come.
What does that mean?
Self-discovery, fearful means that there's some women who are afraid to look inward because they don't know what they'll find. A psychologist said to me, it's like self-discovery is like going through a dark tunnel and you don't know what's on the other end. But suppose you find out you're this fantastic person. Well, that is kind of not scary, but it's a fear of the unknown. Fear of the unknown. But once you go through the process in a positive way and identify all the good things about you, that helps you with your own motivation. So
Okay.
being clear about the why, have courage to plan life for yourself, because sometimes we have people, relatives, or friends that don't understand what you're doing. And sometimes people will say, why are you doing that? That's a waste of time. Or feel jealous that you're doing it. So you have to be aware. Not everybody is on your bandwagon. But I
So,
always, yeah.
does that often open up other cans of worms, like
It can.
husbands not
Yes,
understanding what you're
yes.
doing and leading to, do I really want to stay married in my second half of life? Do I want to stay with this person?
It can. And I'm not a therapist, but I'm a group therapist kind of, but I'm not your personal therapist. I've had a couple of
Right.
women say, I need to go and talk to a therapist about this.
Right.
Because some things can surface, which could be a block. But look at me, for example, when I did my own work, my own process, I'm being transparent. One of my homework assignments was I found out taking my friends to dinner when I started my self-discovery. They all said, I asked them one question because I made them my own activities. There was no Oprah, there was no, helping.
Yeah.
So I asked him, I said, what was I doing in high school that came easy to me? Well, they looked at me and they said, well, that's easy. Now, some people will say, well, why was that so questionable? Why did you forget? Well, Marianne, you're right. Life kicks in.
It does.
And when do you have time to reminisce about high school? So they said, well, that's easy, Barbara. They always said that you love to be in these corny school plays. They weren't corny to me, but you love to sing and dance and all that. I said, really? They said, yes, you loved it. Guess what? In my course, I won't send you to a restaurant, but I will ask you to ask your friends maybe. And they may give you clues. Guess what your homework is? To follow the clue. That's where the courage comes in. If the clue says, ding, 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 this is something you like and enjoy, ding, ding, ding. After Dr. Maya Angelou says, watch what you ask for. Well, I asked for it. So guess what? My homework was to follow the clue. So I signed up for an acting class. I was so scared. I said, what did I do? But I kept remembering, they told me, well, you love doing that. But that was when I was 16 years old. You know, what about now? So the following the clue meant, guess what, Marianne? What can you mention? The first one, Marianne, fear of failure.
Failure. Yep.
Fear of, am I too old? Fear of, suppose I don't like it. Well, guess what?
What about criticism? Fear of criticism. Yeah.
Well, you know what? This is an experiment. Really, this is called, in my course, I call it experimenting with the clue. Let's see what happens. But to get back to therapy, for me, maybe not for women that watching this, but for me, I got a therapist to help me understand, why is this fear blocking me from something that people claim I do well? She was a big help to me. And because I really wanted to find something that brought me joy, you know?
Right.
And she said, well, let's just do it. I signed up for the course and almost chickened out twice. I called and said, hi, this is Barbara Collins. I can't make it for the audition. Guess what? The director knew me. He told her, if Barbara Collins called, tell her we will see her at 7 a.m. Saturday. And she was so nervous. She was a young girl. She said, oh, Miss Collins, Mr. Tom said to tell you that he expects you, no excuses. What?
Chop, chop, Barbara.
So I called my therapist. She said, oh, here we go. I knew, okay, here we go. You're going to step in it or step out of it? What's the worst can happen? To make a long story short, I showed up at the audition. The students auditioning were 12 years old, 16, 5. I sat there on a bench like the rest of them. But you know what happened? I auditioned and it was like a surreal experience because I was in my zone. It felt really nice. It felt good. But I pat myself on the back. I went through the fear. The fear is a feeling. Guess what Tony Robbins says, the big guru, in his book?
What?
Somebody else said, do the fear and do it anyway, but guess what he says? There's no such thing as failure, only results. So the result would have been, I didn't like it, I was uncomfortable, or I loved it. The result was, for me, wow, this is great. So there's no failure.
Right.
Because it's an experiment.
How inspiring. What a message today, right?
Yeah.
There's no failure, just result. That is perfect.
Yes, it's just result that you can document. And you go next.
You know, as you were saying this, I had an aha moment because when I was in high school, I failed ninth grade algebra. And, the algebra that kids start like in second grade these days.
Right.
you know?
Right.
Yeah. And I failed it. And no excuses. I used to have a ton of excuses. I just failed it. Okay. And so I had to take it again that summer. And that summer was before I went to Europe. And so I knew I had to pass this class because, whatever. And I talked my way through this class. And poor Mrs. Ricks, she was the teacher of that summer class. And at a different school that I had never been to. It was a public high school. I'd been in Catholic high schools and stuff. So anyway, but every break in summer school that year, I was in the bathroom washing transparencies as punishment for talking.
No.
Yes.
Oh my God, Mary Ann.
Yes.
That's terrible.
It is terrible, but it's come all full circle.
Yeah.
First of all, I got an A in that class that summer.
Great.
So yay, right? But it also proved to me that I hate math, and I'm not a very analytical person at all. That's continued through the years. I don't like jobs where I have to do math stuff and figure stuff out. So not analytical. And then I also taught me through the years, it's kind of like, I actually really love talking. I'll talk people's ears off for hours if they let me. You know that.
Right.
So the fact that I'm doing podcasts and teaching technology and stuff gives me this opportunity to talk to people. Right? It's going to come back full circle.
That's such a great story.
After I got divorced, I was like, you know what? I want to do things that improve me. So I put myself in therapy and I joined Toastmasters.
There you go.
I did all kinds of stuff because I wanted to be able Toastmasters, I wanted to be able to meet people in my community.
Yes.
I wanted to network and I wanted to improve my speaking skills because as a Hewlett Packard rep in the past, I had been up on stage teaching about new products coming out and how to use stuff and whatever in front of sometimes hundreds of people. Right. So I never had that fear, but it'd been a little while. So I wanted to make sure that I was doing good. And I'll tell you what, and anybody that was in my Toastmasters group will contest to this if they're watching, that I got up to do I could get up and do table topics.
Yeah.
Like off the cuff. I could get up there and talk about stuff and whatever.
I can see you doing that.
I was good, yeah. But when it came to like memorizing speeches, and they say you don't have to memorize, you just have to hit the high points and fill in. Yeah. Oh my gosh, buckets of sweat. I almost passed out. I had to go out in the hallway and sit on the cool ground against the concrete wall and just be like, oh my God. And everyone's like, what happened to you? And I'm like, no clue. So freelancing it, I'm good. I'm your girl. But if it comes to like very, I want to do a TED Talk, but I'm so scared that I would get up there and just like pass out.
Wow. Look how much you learned about yourself.
Yeah. So just stopping and saying, okay, what has followed me in life and what excite me and what things can I let go of that held me back has been huge helps, like reaching out to you.
Yeah.
In a past life, I might have been a little intimidated. And instead I reached out to you and said, I have to know you. And you were like, who are you?
Great knowing you. That is such a great story, example about what I just said.
Yeah.
You found out from algebra class to now, which comes easy to you.
Right.
And you got results, no failure, just results. I mean, punishing you was not good, but you discovered more. It's funny because I took geometry in summer school. I'm not a math person. I hated math. But
that's why we get along.
Right. Geometry, I can see him right now, Mr. Mason. He just was so hard. So guess what I discovered? Later on, one of those experiments I did, guess what? Of course I took photography. Well, nope. Because in first class, he was talking about these 0.9 point f-stop. Says, you can't do that. That's not me. But talking, yes, I can. So whatever you experiment with, Mary Ann, your story was a perfect example. It may seem weird, but you're going to learn something. You just go to the next one.
Maybe you need to take a photography class, like photography based on automatic settings. Make great pictures on
Right.
automatic. That's what we need. Maybe for the
That's
next
what we
year, we need
need.
to have someone come on there and teach a class
That's the
online
only way
saying,
we're going to get through it, Marianne.
yep, saying me too, saying use your camera on automatic and create
I'm done.
wonderful
I'm good.
photography. So if
I'm
anybody
good.
out there wants to, contact me.
I'm good. And what we discovered for us, now somebody out there like my granddaughter loves math,
Right.
but that's not you and me.
Right.
So we discovered that later in life. So we just go to the next thing. We love to speak. Some women with faith speaking, but guess what? There's something that women like to do. You just have to figure out what it is. But my course helps you to discover that through the activities I made up, you know, like talking to friends and all that kind of stuff. And the joy in the premise of my course, the whole course, I have a passion about helping women get a reason for getting up in the morning. Because when you hit your 60s, 70s, you have challenges, maybe physically or whatever is going on, you're going to need a reason when that 9 to 5 stops.
Right.
Okay? You need to have a clear identity of who you are going to be in your second half of life. Because what you were in your 30s, 40s may be different.
Or you lost your identity because it was all about your
Right.
kids and your husband.
That's right, Marianne. It was all right. It was always about the kids and the husband. And that happens a lot.
Oh,
And
sorry. Or your wife or your
or
partner.
your wife,
Whatever,
or your
right?
partner. No, thank you. Your wife or your partner, whatever. But Marianne, I just read I told you I did my blog post this morning. But I love the phrase when she says, live your life and mean it. Okay? And mean it means you have discovered what works for you. Because as the years go by fast, I'm only talking to women, partners who have grandkids. This is very real what happens. As they get older, guess what? They live their own life.
Mm-hmm.
If you have created that whole world around them, because I have grandkids, what happens is you start feeling like left out maybe because they love you, but they're at an age you're growing up.
Yeah.
That's just one small example why creating your second half of life now, because you can fall into it when you're ready to transition from that working time to free time, you know. So I get excited when I hear stories like yours.
I wish I had the pre-thought of doing that when I was younger, but everything was so, up in the air all the time and traumatic that you think I don't have time or
Right.
the energy,
Right.
the ability to think 20 years in the future or 10 years,
Right.
or sometimes even 1 year in the
And
future.
that is so true. That is so true, Marianne, because a lot of women who have heard me speak, they said, Barbara, I'm so busy, I don't have to do it. I said, but be clear about your why. When I started working on my doctorate, the instructor, the first night of class, he said, why do you want to do this? I was working 50 hours a week, raising my kids because I don't want to do corporate life for the rest of my life. He said, that thought is going to get you through this program. That motivation. So being clear about what you want to do in your second half of life. Okay. Also, Marianne, you don't graduate from my course.
Okay.
Because it's an evolving process.
Right.
It stays with you. My template you can use over and over again as you explore in your journey.
Okay.
You know, Sarah Brafnick in her book, I'm pronouncing her name incorrectly and I'm looking straight at it. Simple Abundance. She feels strongly that kind of work is called going on your own archaeological dig of discovery. And really, that's what you're doing, talking to relatives, looking at who your ancestors are. That's why I call it the Sankofa process, self-discovery, because Sankofa, I don't want to belabor, but it's a mythical bird in Ghana. In the Akan language, Sankofa means return to the past.
Oh, okay.
To move forward. because when Ghana was colonized, they lost their identity. When they achieved their freedom in 1968, it was time for them to remember who they were
That's
before
why
they were,
therapy works for some people, right?
pardon me?
That's why therapy works for some
Yes,
people. I had to
yes,
go, I put myself in therapy when I got divorced 5 years ago. I had to go back in order to go forward.
yes. That's exactly what Sankofa means.
Awesome. I love
Because they
that.
had to remember who they were. Golds, and I mean, they exported gold. They were kings and queens, rich in education. So now they are a vibrant country. But for me to help people like you did to return to the past is a way to remember there are good things about you. There are gifts that you have. We just have to figure out what they are. You do the work of self discovery. And when I said be careful about naysayers, because I remember when I started my process, my friends who are 30 years that I've known, they remember when I started. They said, well, Barbara, we thought that was weird what you were doing. They said,
Thanks.
right. They could say, now they understand what I was doing.
So do you have to be okay, so the program's life after 50. It starts with life after 50. But do you have so you're saying though, but you can take your class like in your 30s and
Of
40s. You don't
course.
have to wait until you're 50.
No, thank you.
Right.
No, no,
Okay.
I can't. You know, it doesn't matter
Okay.
because that's a very good point, Marianne. Because I was at a book signing at
Mhm.
Barnes and Noble, and my books were out, and these young, beautiful women came over. Oh God, they must have been in their 30s. Looking at my book, I said, "Oh, they're so young. They're looking at my book, Power Midlife." I said, "Oh, hi." I said, "It's so." I said, "I'm so glad you picked my book." I didn't say your mother will love it. I didn't say that. I was thinking it. I said, it's interesting you're looking at Power Midlife about midlife. I said, oh, no, no, no. We get it. We want to know now. We don't want to wait till midlife. Let's get it now straight. So, yeah, you don't have to be uh, 50. Any age that you want to think about your second half of life is a good time for to think about it.
And you don't have
Especially,
to be any economic status, right? You could
no,
be
oh,
dirt poor
no,
broke, or you
right.
could be filthy rich
There you
and
go.
benefit from this course looking
It
forward.
happens at money is not the catalyst. The only catalyst is your willingness to know who you are. Excuse
Okay.
me. That's the catalyst. And you want a better life when you are in your second half of life. So the motivation, I feel strong. I've coached women from all economic situations. Oh, this is a point you mentioned, Marianne, in our conversation yesterday. Remember, we talk about a lot of women are caregivers.
Mhm.
That's a very strong category of women who really don't have the time. But they, after taking my course, they put the time to do that later on. Okay, but right now, at least it gives them hope. Caretaking gives a person hope when they take my course, that there's something that can also do for them while they're doing this wonderful, challenging job as being a caretaker.
But how many people can transition from like I'm a giver. I'm always taking care of people. I go after people that seems to be like the people that need the most help, I think, are the people that are in my lives the most. And I'm always trying to fix them. And I finally got to the point when I got divorced and went through all that stuff and whatever and started learning more about myself. I realized this. Like I looked at my past and said, oh, all these people had to be fixed. In my eyes, at
I
least,
know.
right?
I'm
Or
smiling
had
because I
problems
get
that
it.
they weren't moving forward. So, how can your class help people like me transition from always trying to help everybody else to helping myself?
Well, my course doesn't help everybody, but that is a good point. Some women take my course and have an awareness of who they are as a giver,
Right.
as a nurturer. And they decide in the middle course what they need to do to get out of that, to rethink that. But what helps them is my group coaching when they talk to other women like themselves.
Mhm.
The other point takeaway from that point is that we are born nurturers, women. Anybody self-identified female has a nurturing gene,
Right.
wants to help. That's who we are. But what I say in your helping, you're not giving it up. You're making space to be a better giver. What a better giver means is you're not doing it denying yourself. It's an and, it's not a but. So if I'm a giver, which I am, but I've learned that in order to be for me to help, so for example, in your second half of life, if you are a giver and that's all you do, your body starts telling you you can't keep doing this. Something or your body needs to be returned back to yourself. If you don't know this, the body will tell you. And this is what I mean. My doctor told me when I turned 40, he said, I'm telling you right now, as you get older, something's going to hurt when you wake up.
Amen.
I did not relate. That's how, no, no, no.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I hear you.
No. And that is true because we're living longer, Mary. We were not supposed to evolve this long. So our bodies begin to show and feel our age. So when you start feeling the need for self-love, your body will tell you. And if you're a giver, your body will say, I'm sorry, but you need to go sit down somewhere and take care of yourself. But some women don't know how to do that.
And for those women that aren't 50 yet, when you turn 50, somewhere in the universe flips a switch. I promise you. No matter how good of shape you're in, or if you've
Right.
never felt any of those twinges or stuff like that, you turn 50, all of a sudden you're like, oh.
I know. It's like, well, that, if you've been 100% giver all the time, your second half to life really helps you to be a little bit selfish because your body and your brain is going to need it. So you might as well start practicing now, unless you're going to be constant giving out, your body will shut down. Okay. I was a giver. In my early 50s, my body broke down. And I was working 50 hours a week, raising 2 kids. They called me lightning because I moved so fast into my activities. My body said, oh, no, we're not doing this anymore. I had to take 2 months off from work. My body shut down. And an elderly, wonderful, I went to all kinds of doctors and they wanted to give me Valium to do this. I said, oh, it didn't work. Nothing worked. Because I have faith in God, I prayed. Guess what happened? An elderly doctor gave me the answer in a few short words. He said, let me tell you something. All you need to do is eat 3-4 meals a day and rest. Your body needs to be repaired. I rebelled hearing that. He said, I'm serious. Your body is just speaking to you. You have to be selfish now. That was the hardest thing I had to do. But that was a big lesson. I gave in. So what I'm saying to women, don't wait and keep giving till your body tells you this is not working.
I told you in November, my body was like, you know what? You're not going to walk anymore.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And it's been like I found out recently it was my SI joint.
Oh,
and,
wow.
And so I'm working on that. I got a cortisone shot in that joint. That was not fun. Which lasted for about 2 weeks. It was perfect. I was outside gardening stuff. Now it's kind of back again. So now I'm back into being, okay, so that's a very temporary fix. So learning those exercises and stress release and stuff like the relief and stuff like that are really going to help cure that and fix that moving on. and taking the time of, okay, I can't sit at my computer working 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
I need to do, 3, 4 hours here, maybe go do some exercising, some walking, take the dog for a walk, come back and do that. And I figured, I kind of decided that it was two things. It was either telling me, look, you're in your 50s now, you need to take much better care of yourself because you've always been taking care of everybody else. You need to start paying attention to what you're doing and what your life's going to look like moving forward. And I'm pretty sure that's that, but it's also, I think there's something coming up that I will need that compassion.
Yeah.
Like I remember not being able to walk. There's some group I'm going to be involved with then, or something that's going to be like, hey, by the way, you remember not being able to barely walk for 9 months. This, have some compassion. So I'm pretty sure that's what that is, but it's all part of evolution and what we do and what we bring to the table.
I love the word, Marianne. That's the word I was looking for, compassion.
Yeah.
Self-compassion is going to challenge your need to keep giving, because your body's going to say you need to give yourself some self-compassion.
Right.
I want to quote somebody, but I can't remember the name of her book. Elizabeth Gilbert wrote one of the most beautiful books. I don't remember the name, but she was speaking at a conference, and this woman said to her, I don't know how to give myself self-love. And I read this article in the Oprah magazine, and she said she could tell the lady, the way she looked, really needed self-compassion. The article talked about the one word she asked the lady, how would you treat, and do you like animals? She said, yes. How would you treat an animal who was either lamed or unfed? She said, oh, no, I would be so upset. She said, do you know you are an animal because you're a mammal? So think about if you are not getting fed, what would you do?
Right.
You're treating the animal well. Well, the thing, you should turn them around and learn how to give yourself. I'm taking it out of context.
Right.
But if women know what I'm talking about, she's giving a process on how we can internally give ourselves self-compassion. And also, I'm a work in progress, Marianne, because I listen to my app, which is, I'm not advertising, but I love the Calm app.
Yeah.
And
I love the Calm app.
Yeah, Calm app really teaches me how to give myself some compassion. So there are tools we can have out there that are available.
I will throw this out there, by the way, women. If you're a Matthew McConaughey fan, Matthew McConaughey reads a book on the Calm app.
Yes.
That will put you to sleep every single night.
I love it.
And put you into dreamland, let me tell you.
The first voice, Marianne, I listened to on the Calm app, I went right to sleep.
Exactly. I don't know what the rest of the story is that he's reading, because I'm asleep like in the first 3 minutes when I'm listening to that. I'm like, I can't even listen to it during the day because it would knock me straight out.
And guess what, ladies? And the app that we're talking about, the goal is for you not to listen to the whole story. The goal is it's a bedtime story.
Yeah, exactly.
So they love for you to fall asleep. So that app has helped me tremendously in self-compassion.
I'm pulling it up so I can see what the name of what that is, because I know. It's called Wonder, and Wonder. It's not written by him, but it's read by Matthew McConaughey.
And that when his voice comes on, oh my God,
it's kind of monotone, very soothing, very calming. Yeah,
I still don't know the ending, Marianne. I really don't, because I've neither.
Oh, but the second half, he starts comparing like opposites of stuff and whatever. I think I've gotten a little bit farther. I've kind of fast forwarded because I was like, I got to hear this. But that monotone of back and forth of differences and stuff or whatever, I'm like gone. I mean, I've had some pretty amazing dreams from that as well. So
it's amazing. The Calm app is a tool that I use to love Barbara, because I'm giving to women all the time. But it's time for me. I have self-love rituals in the morning that I give to myself. I have the Calm app at night. I pray. I read my Bible. Whatever. You're going to need it after 50. You're going to need it.
My ex-husband told me about the Calm app, I don't know, 20 years ago. And I was kind of like, yeah, whatever, but now when my mind is racing, when I've got business ideas going through my head, days when I've talked to somebody as amazing as you, and I've got all these ideas that, cause you and I you helped me create an idea for a business project moving forward for women over 50. And after that, like my head was swimming with ideas, and I'm like, I just need something to help me knock me out. And I try not to take drugs, to do that, in any kind of way, not illegal drugs, but like sleeping pills and stuff like that. So if I can find a way to shut my brain down, because it's always on fast forward.
And you're a lot like me, because my brain can get on fast forward sometime.
And it's hard to get off that track.
It's hard. I have to really say, you need to go. I do mindful meditation. That's another tool.
Yeah.
And my meditation is not for everybody, but it's one of my tools that help me give myself compassion and slow down. So what we're saying, ladies, is that self-love is a way to get you through the need to nurture, and give.
And things like going away for a weekend by yourself.
Yeah.
Like a couple of years ago, right before COVID, actually, I knew that COVID was coming up, that we wouldn't be able to travel as much for a while. And my 50th birthday was March of 2020.
Right.
And so I knew that if I don't do something, in those first couple of weeks of March, chances are I might not be able to. So I went down to North Carolina and went down to, I think, Carolina Beach.
Oh, beautiful.
Rented a hotel room. And he's like, what floor do you want to be on? I'm like, the penthouse, baby. And was on the top floor of that hotel facing the ocean. And my SI joint was acting up. My hip was hurting. I could barely walk, probably from the long drive down.
Yeah, sure.
And I was just like, you know what? I just want to camp out in this room and open the doors to the ocean and be able to sleep with these doors open. And that night, the first night, oh my gosh, was the best sleep I ever had. And I did nothing other than hang out in this hotel room, watched a little television. And I lived by myself, but I still knew that I grew up near the ocean. I needed to hear and smell the ocean.
That's a perfect healing.
Door dashed food, sat in this room, did some writing, listening to some music, sat on the deck watching, or the patio watching the ocean and the people and stuff, and just went down to the bar, had a couple drinks, just doing whatever I wanted to do at the time.
So much self-love. You gave yourself really some.
And then COVID hit, and I knew, because I had told my daughter, I said, hey, it was the first trip that I would have taken with my daughter since she turned 21. And I was like, let's go to Mexico and go to the beach just for like a long weekend and just enjoy ourselves as adults, because I'd never done anything. And then COVID hit, and I'm like, so I'm still waiting for that trip.
Yeah, well, keep dreaming. It'll come. It'll come.
It's going to be here.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's
maybe next year.
Yeah.
So Barbara, can I tell everybody a little bit about the discussion that you and I had as far as when I met you?
Sure.
About that? So you and I were talking about me creating a foundation for women to what's the word? To empower them. That's the word. To empower them to be more than what they are, or what they move into what they want to be.
Right.
But when I was talking to you, I discovered that, you know what? I need to go from foundation thought to active business thought.
Right.
And so instead, you and I kind of put together this tentative plan for me to actually start a part of the HIP Senior, where I help women over the age of 50 who want to start a business.
Yeah.
Create that. We have no idea what this is going to be even called yet. This is just literally, it's a couple weeks old thought, and I've been gathering people from people that can help you create business plans, to doing logos, to coming up with the name of your business, or what kind of business you want this to be. Do you want it to be for profit, nonprofit? Do you want it to be an LLC, or what do you want to do? And just coming up with those ideas. So you and I created this thing where it literally starts out with the whole package. So it's going to be like a whole package. They come to me and they say, okay, I want to start a business. And we start the conversation. What kind of business do you want to do? What are your loves? What do you want to do? Okay, let's come up with a name for this, a tentative name. And then that course, so it walks you through and includes things like gathering graphic artists together to create like logos and stuff like that. But it starts out with your course, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're going to be able to have access to take your course.
Right.
And there's going to be parts, things that you're going to offer the hip senior people that go through this process that other people aren't going to be able to get included in this. So there's going to be goodies and specials involved with that.
Right.
Then they're going to be able to join, that automatically puts them into joining Beautiful Faces, Going Places with Carol Dockham, her networking group. So we're including ways for people to be able to grow and learn about themselves. And then get involved with other women that are actively out there doing it and maybe develop some of those mentorship type activities with that. And then grow into the whole process, how do you, because women get stuck. They come up with these ideas and they're like, I'd really love to do this, but I don't know how to with my social media stuff. I don't know, because everyone's saying I have to be involved in social media to start a business. How do I do that?
Right. That's
do I need a license? What do I need to do for this? So we're going to take people and we're going to walk them through this whole entire process from growth to networking to development. Right. And I'm just so involved and so excited to do that. But, and I have to go back and thank you for that, because you gave me that opportunity to talk that out with you and see what that might look like.
Yeah.
And so just like anyone age 50 and over, obviously with the Hip Senior and online tech lessons, I've been developing these businesses for several years now.
Right.
But adding a new one to that, that's a lot of development too. And so, and this would not be happening right now if it was not for Dr. Barbara.
Oh, thank you.
Just that
such inspiration. I remember talking to you about it.
And just your guidance and your thoughts and your wisdom from that. So if you're, looking for what your next step is, like I said, I wish in my 30s and 40s, I had the opportunity or the foresight to think about what's going to look like when I'm 50, but I didn't know I'll be divorced or I'll be this.
Right.
Because sometimes even if you're closer to 50 or you're 60 or you're 70 and you want to know what's next still.
Yeah.
Like you said, I have great aunts, both my grandmothers and my great aunts and everyone, especially on my mom's side and stuff, all lived really close to, 96, 97 years old.
Wow.
And that's amazing. Think about it, that they died, probably in the last 20, 25 years.
They lived well to that age.
And then now look at the modern technology for medicine that we have now. I'm going to live forever, apparently.
I think so.
So I want to know how to move forward and do that. So if women, if you're out there, women, out there, just reach out to us. Barbara, how do they get in touch with you?
Yes, two ways. One way, really important, email me, Keynote, KEYNOTE, Keynote at Dr. Dr. Barbara, BARBARA Collins.com. Keynote at drbarbaracollins.com. One way. Website, www.drbarbaracollins.com.
Okay.
One way. Join my group on Facebook. It's under Your Authentic Life Plan on Facebook. Wonderful women to get engaged in the conversation of life after 50. The Facebook group, again, Your Authentic Life Plan. And that's those three ways you can find me. And love to connect with other women.
I absolutely love that. I just joined the Facebook group yesterday.
Great.
And so I'm looking forward to meeting some of the women in there as well and seeing everything that I can learn. And I have just started reading your book, so I'm excited to learn more about that. So women, I've known Dr. Barbara for, I don't know, it's been 3-4 weeks now?
Yeah, 3 or 4 weeks. And we just talk like we've known each other for years.
Exactly. And you're a wealth of information, so inspired and so giving. And I'm so grateful that you're in my life. And I can't wait for you to be in many, many, many other women's lives, helping guide them forward.
This has been a joy. a passion of mine, and meeting you is the divine order that we were meant to meet.
It absolutely
I'm glad
is.
about that.
Like I said earlier, I heard her on a podcast and I'm like, you know what? Sometimes you just know. I was like, I have to know this woman. And she was just like, who are you? You know?
Well,
And I'm like, trust me, we have to know each other and get on a Zoom call with me.
And we would love to hear from you ladies about our dreams also. So
yeah,
enjoy.
Absolutely. If any of this connects with you, if you're more curious, if you're not sure it connects with you, reach out, have a conversation with one or both of us.
Yeah.
We're both open just to talking to you and having a conversation and seeing where we can help your life be moving forward. Because again, I know there's some inspirational people in my life that has moved me forward. I could not have done it. Do not think that you're an island of one.
That's right.
Which is what I always thought I was going to be when I started a business. Very
important.
Yeah. There's people out there that want to support you and want to help you and help you grow. Again, you're not an island of one.
No.
You're part of many.
Right, because that's how I got through where I am now.
Absolutely. So, guys, this is Marianne Bailey with the Hip Senior. Like I said, reach out to me. Head over to my website at thehipsenior.com. And this broadcast will also be on YouTube as well as the podcast on my website and live rebroadcast on Facebook as well. And you can also head over to the Hip Senior group on Facebook also. And we look forward to hearing from each and every one of you. Dr. Barbara, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. This is great. Pleasure. I can't wait to talk to you again.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Have a beautiful day.
I love you too. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.